What's the best joke you know? A lot of people tell me I've got an addiction to brake fluid. Truth is I can stop at any time. A pirate walks into a bar with a steering wheel in his pants. Bartender, hey, you know you have a steering wheel in your pants? Apostrophe. Pirate, arranged. It's driving me nuts. Apostrophe. This is a really dumb one, but I love it. Two men are sitting drinking at a bar at the top of the Empire State Building, when the first man turns to the other and says, you know, last week I discovered that if you jump from the top of this building, the winds around the building are so intense that by the time you fall to the 10th floor, they carry you around the building and back into a window. The bartender just shakes his head in disapproval while wiping the bar. The second guy says, what? Are you nuts? There's no way that could happen. No, it's true. The first man says, let me prove it to you. He gets up from the bar, jumps over the balcony, and plummets toward the street below. As he nears the 10th floor, the high winds whip him around the building and back into the 10th floor window, and he takes the elevator back up to the bar. He meets the second man, who looks quite astonished. You know, I saw that with my own eyes, but that must have been a one-time fluke. No, I'll prove it again, says the first man as he jumps again. Just as he is hurtling toward the street, the 10th floor wind gently carries him around the building and into the window. Once upstairs he urges his fellow drinker to try it. Well, why not? The second guy says, it works. I'll try it. He jumps over the balcony, plunges downward, passes the 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th floors, and hits the sidewalk with a splat. Back upstairs the bartender turns to the other drinker and says, you know Superman, you're a real jerk when you're drunk. I've got one. This reminds me of the man who was driving down the road and his car breaks down near a monastery. He goes to the monastery, knocks on the door, and says, my car broke down. Do you think I could stay the night? The monks graciously accept him, feed him dinner, and even fix his car. As the man tries to fall asleep, he hears a strange sound. A sound unlike anything he's ever heard before. The sirens that nearly seduced Odysseus into crashing his ship comes to his mind. He doesn't sleep that night. He tosses and turns trying to figure out what could possibly be making such a seductive sound. The next morning, he asks the monks what the sound was, but they say, we can't tell you. You're not a monk. Distraught, the man is forced to leave. Years later, after never being able to forget that sound, the man goes back to the monastery and pleads for the answer again. The monks reply, we can't tell you. You're not a monk. The man says, if the only way I can find out what is making that beautiful sound is to become a monk, then, please, make me a monk. The monks reply, you must travel the earth and tell us how many blades of grass there are and the exact number of grains of sand. When you find these answers, you will have become a monk. Apostrophe. The man sets about his task. After years of searching he returns as a grey-haired old man and knocks on the door of the monastery. A monk answers. He is taken before a gathering of all the monks. In my quest to find what makes that beautiful sound, I traveled the earth and have found what you asked for. By design, the world is in a state of perpetual change. Only God knows what you ask. All a man can know is himself. And only then, if he is honest and reflective and willing to strip away self-deception. Apostrophe. The monks reply, congratulations. You have become a monk. We shall now show you the way to the mystery of the sacred sound. The monks lead the man to a wooden door, where the head monk says, the sound is beyond that door. The monks give him the key, and he opens the door. Behind the wooden door is another door made of stone. The man is given the key to the stone door and he opens it, only to find a door made of ruby. And so it went that he needed keys to doors of emerald, pearl and diamond. Finally, they come to a door made of solid gold. The sound has become very clear and definite. The monks say, this is the last key to the last door. The man is apprehensive. His life swishes behind that door. With trembling hands, he unlocks the door, turns the knob, and slowly pushes the door open. Falling to his knees, he is utterly amazed to discover the source of that haunting and seductive sound. But, of course, I can't tell you what it is, because you're not a monk. What's the difference between an oral thermometer and a rectal thermometer? The taste. Not mine. But I think it belongs to my favorite ones. Doctor, will I be okay? Apostrophe. I don't know. Mercury is in Uranus right now. I don't do astronomy, doc. Me neither. My thermometer just broke. Did you hear about the cheese factory in France that exploded? Debris was everywhere. I was in the office today and the cleaning lady asked if I wanted to smoke weed with her after work. I turned her down. I don't really like high maintenance women. Two nuns were sitting on a park bench when a naked man runs by. One of the nuns had a stroke. The other couldn't reach. Two nuns are driving down a dark road at night when a vampire jumps out of the bushes onto the hood of their car. One nun says to the other, "Quick, Sister Mary, show him your cross." So Sister Mary leans out the window and yells, "Get off the car, you fucking asshole." Apostrophe. Stalin is sitting at his desk busy with paperwork when his assistant bursts into the room and says, "Comrade Stalin, there is a clairvoyant here that wants to see you. He claims he can see the future." Apostrophe. Send him to Gillick, says Stalin. If he could see the future he wouldn't have come here. Here's a classic. So a grandpa takes his grandson out fishing. The grandpa pulls out a smoke and lights it. The kid asks, "Hey grandpa, can I have one?" And he says, "Does your dick touch your ass?" And the kid says, "Well no," and grandpa says, "There's your answer. You're too young." Then grandpa pulls out some whiskey and takes a few pulls off the bottle. Kid asks, "Hey, could I have a drink of that, grandpa?" And grandpa says, "Does your dick touch your ass?" "Well, no it doesn't," says the kid. Grandpa says, "Well there's your answer." So the kid pulls out some cookies and starts snacking away on them. And grandpa says, "Gee kiddo, those cookies look pretty good. Could I have one?" So the kid says, "Does your dick touch your ass?" And grandpa says, "Why yes it does." And the kid says, "Good. You can go duck yourself then." Apostrophe. This reminds me of another good one. An old man and his grandson were spending some quality time together on a rainy Sunday. They had been planning on playing football outside, but it had started raining at 8 AM, and it was now 5 PM with no end in sight. So as they are sitting inside, in front of a big bay window, the grandpa is looking out at its raining cats and dogs and says, "Wow, it has been raining all day, that's a lot of rain." And the grandson says, "Yeah, tell me something I don't know." So the grandfather replies, "Your grandmother's ass can take my whole fist." A Buddhist walks up to a hot dog vendor and says, "Make me one with everything." Apostrophe. Bonus for philosophy nerds. Descartes walks into a bar. The bartender says, "Hey, Descartes, I just got this new import beer in. Want to try it?" Descartes says, I think not." And he vanishes into thin air. The Buddhist gets his hot dog and pays with the $10. He asks the vendor, "Where's my change?" Apostrophe. The vendor replies, "Change comes from within." Apostrophe. So the Buddhist pulls out a gun. Panicking, the vendor says, "I thought you were all about inner peace." Apostrophe. The Buddhist waves the gun and replies, "This is my inner peace." Apostrophe. I mixed up the words jacuzzi and yakuza and now I'm in hot water with the Japanese Mayfair. How is 69 and being in the Mayfair alike? One slip of the tongue and you are in deep shit. A man goes to a funeral. He asks the widow if he could say a word. He goes to the front and says plethora and sits back down. The widow leans over and whispers, "Thanks. That means a lot." Apostrophe. Edit. Thank you everyone. I gladly will add on your lines when I retell this joke. You have all made my day brighter. Another man approaches. He had been a close companion of the deceased. He too asks the widow if he might speak and heads to the front. Bargain, he says. The widow pats his arm. That means a great deal. Thank you. I would have you know that you got both me and my dad laughing. I will gladly add this on when I tell this joke. Two guys are walking down the street when they see a dog licking his balls. One guy says, "I wish I could do that." The other replies, "Well, maybe just try petting him first." Was posting in a general chat sub on a baseball message board. Someone posts an article saying oral sex has been linked to throat cancer. One of the guys replies, "Well, there goes my Father's Day gift idea. To which I replied, I'm sure he would have appreciated it. Maybe just get him a tie instead. I didn't get what was that guy's gift idea. A penguin is on a long deserved vacation from the zoo. He decides to take a road trip out west, where his car breaks down. Luckily, it's right in front of a mechanic in town. He drops the car off and tells the mechanic he's going to get some lunch. It's a really hot day, so after eating he stops by the ice cream shop for a little treat. Walking back to his car, the mechanic tells the penguin it looks like you blew a seal. The penguin laughs. Oh, no, he said, as he wiped his mouth, it's just ice cream. Mechanic, come again. Penguin, I told you, it's only ice cream. A man sat down at a bar and told the bartender, I bet you $300 that I can piss into the cup all the way over there on the other side of the bar and not miss a single drop. The bartender said, there is no way you can do that. Sure, I'll bet you $300. The man then begins to undo his pants and begins pissing. He starts pissing all over the bar, spraying on the bottles and the bartender, not making a single drop in the cup. The bartender starts smiling and laughing and says, that's it. You owe me $300. The man then gets up and walks over to the pool table and starts laughing and shaking hands with the men standing there. He walks back to bar, sits down and starts laughing at the bartender and hands him the money. The bartender asks, why are you laughing? You just lost the bet. The man said, I'm laughing because I bet those guys over there $1,000 that I could piss all over you and your bar and you would still be laughing when I was done. I've heard this one, but with a lawyer and eyes inspector, or a woman and a bank director. I had a song stuck in my head the other day and kept singing it out loud. My wife finally broke down and screamed, will you please stop singing Wonderwall? ? I said maybe. I hear you, dude. I was humming the chorus to I'm a Believer around the house the other day when my wife suddenly screamed at me to knock it off. This was really out character for her, so I just assumed she was joking. Then I saw her face. Edit, if you're spending money on these awards, please give it to a cancer charity instead. Thanks. I was telling my wife that I met the band Rem once, but she didn't believe me. I pulled out my phone to show her the picture. See? That's Mike Mills. There's Peter Buck and Michael Stipe. And that's me in the corner. Edit, wait. I've got one more. Tonight's top story. Country western legend Willie Nelson is in the hospital recovering from injuries sustained when he was hit by a car during a performance. Authorities say he shouldn't have been playing on the road again. Dad, the trashman's here. Tell him we don't need any. From all the others, this is what made me laugh. There's a man at the door with a wooden leg. Tell him I've already got one. What did the sign on the door of the brothel say? Beat it. We are closed. There's an adult video store in Phoenix I used to drive by, and they had a slogan painted on the wall facing the street. Come inside out of the heat. Pure class. And actually pretty witty. I saw a sign on a pawn shop that said, Vini Vidi Vini. Not mine. Dave knows everyone there is to know. Dave was bragging to his boss one day, you know, I know everyone there is to know. Just name someone, anyone, and I'll know them. Tired of his boasting, his boss called his bluff. Okay, Dave, how about Tom Cruise? No dramas, boss. Tom and I are old friends, and I can prove it. So Dave and his boss fly out to Hollywood and knock on Tom Cruise's door, and Tom Cruise shouts, Dave, what's happening? ! Great to see you. Come on in for a beer. Although impressed, Dave's boss is still skeptical. After they leave Cruise's house, he says that he thinks Dave's knowing Cruise was just lucky. No, just name anyone else. Dave says, President Obama. His boss quickly retorts, yup. Dave says, old buddies, let's fly out to Washington. And off they go. At the White House, Obama spots Dave on the tour and motions him and his boss over, saying, Dave, What a surprise. I was just on my way to a meeting. But you and your friend come on in, and let's have a cup of coffee first and catch up. Apostrophe. Well, the boss is very shaken by now but still not totally convinced. After they leave the White House grounds, he expresses his doubts to Dave, who again implores him to name anyone else. The Pope. His boss replies, "Sure," says Dave. "My folks are from Germany, and I've known the Pope a long time." So off they fly to Rome. Dave and his boss are assembled with the masses in Vatican Square when Dave says, "This will never work. I can't catch the Pope's eye among all these people. Tell you what, I know all the guards, so let me just go upstairs, and I'll come out on the balcony with the Pope." And he disappears into the crowd headed toward the Vatican. Sure enough, half an hour later Dave emerges with the Pope on the balcony, but by the time Dave returns, he finds that his boss has had a heart attack and is surrounded by paramedics. Working his way to his boss' side, Dave asks him, "What happened?" His boss looks up and says, "I was doing fine until you and the Pope came out on the balcony and the man next to me said, 'Who the F***s that on the balcony with Dave? That's gold.'" People are shocked when they find out what a terrible electrician I am. Haha, this tickled me. Four older gents who were college buddies met for dinner for the first time in 20 years. After ordering, one of the men got up to use the bathroom. One of the men boasted about his son. "My son's so successful. He started at the bottom valeting cars, worked and saved money, and he just started his second dealership. For his friend's birthday he bought him a Maserati." Apostrophe. All the men clapped and nodded. The next man said about his son, "My son's so smart. He started as a junior aircraft technician at a small charter, put himself through engineering, and he has his own private jet company with millions in revenue. For a friend's birthday he bought his friend a twin-engine turboprop." Apostrophe. Again all the men wiped tears from their eyes. The third man said about his son, "My son is a hard worker. He started mowing lawns and went into trades. He is the president of a company that builds subdivisions. For his buddy's birthday he gave his friend a new house." Apostrophe. All the men clapped and sat back enjoying their son's accomplishments. The fourth man came back, sat down and asked why they were crying. After finding out, he said, "Yeah, you wouldn't believe it, but my son's a male stripper and his birthday was last month and 3 of his clients gifted him a car, a plane and a house." Apostrophe. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.